Hey, what's up? What's happening, everybody? Doug back again. I guess I say that every time. It's kind of obvious. I thought I'd crank out a quick vinyl video with some new digs from first part of the year before the stack gets too big and the videos start getting up there in time. I hope everybody out there is doing well. My last video I was talking about all the musicians we've lost, David Bowie and Lemmy and everybody, and now there's another one, Glenn Frey next. Getting to the point I don't even want to go on Facebook or the news or whatever and see what's going on now. Anyways, some new digs for January. As I said, I don't kind of show a lot of 7-inch singles in my videos. I find they kind of suck up a lot of time and don't really have the visual appeal of an LP when you show them in video. But there's an antique mall a few minutes down the road from me where one day I walked by and they had a few boxes of 45 7-inch singles out the front. They were $1.25 each, or four for $5. So I went through them. A lot of kind of 80s stuff, late 70s kind of rock. Some okay stuff, I guess. Looks like kind of a DJ collection or something. There was some notes on some of the sleeves about intros and times and things like that. But I did manage to find a few interesting things. And super clean condition on these. That's kind of why I'm showing them. Anyways, we got Sunfighter, Paul Kantner, backed with Grace Slick, China. It's from the Sunfighter LP, which I do not have. It's supposed to be a good one. High Tension, British Hustle. Some great British funk there. I have the LP of that one. Apparently the 12-inch is supposed to be a good one to get to. Rose Royce, Ooh Boy. Norman Whitfield funk. You know them from the Car Wash soundtrack. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Philadelphia International. I Miss You, Part 1 and 2. A few older ones in there too. Just kind of mixed in. Box Tops, Soul Deep. Back with the Happy Song. Ooh, sounds exciting. Another Norman Whitfield one, a little bit older. Temptations, Superstore, Remember How You Got Where You Are. Back with Gonna Keep On Trying Till I Get Your Love. That's 71, looks like. This one I was really stoked to find. A couple of marks on this one, not quite as clean condition as the other ones, but still pretty cool find. Malo. Great Latin rock band. Latin Boogaloo backed with Midnight Thoughts. Stevie Wonder, You Haven't Done Nothing. From 74, Canadian pressing there. Another old one, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. Like just immaculate condition on these things. Probably the cleanest I've ever seen for singles that old. Bee Gees one, early Bee Gees, Tomorrow, Tomorrow. Not that fussed on the A side, but the B side, Sun in My Morning sounds pretty nice. Kind of folky, trippy goodness there. This one I've never heard of, but looked like it was worth taking a chance on. I've sampled it, it sounds pretty good. Alive and Kicking, Tighter Tighter, on Roulette label. That is written and produced by Tommy James and Bob King. Tommy James and the Shondells. This one I already have. I have a feeling this is going to be an upgrade copy because it's like near mint. Brothers Johnson, Strawberry Letter 23. The great Shuggy Otis song. And this one, Tower of Power. This time it's for real, backed with Soul Vaccination. And last up, Michael Quattro, Can't Leave You Alone. A-side's not that great. B-side, Space Strut, is kind of a space funk instrumental with a bit of rock guitar. And on to some LPs, Thrift Finds. First up, Debbie Harry, Cuckoo. Iconic H.R. Geiger cover on there. And kind of, you know the deal with Debbie Harry, blondie singer, mixes a bit of funk, kind of proto hip hop in with her music. Bit of reggae on that one too, on the Inner City Spillover track, which she was no stranger to reggae, having covered the Paragons' "The Tide Is High" with Blondie. This one, Diana Ross, "Lady Sings the Blues." Naughty. Oh, got the booklet and everything in here. Not a major Diana Ross fan, solo fan. She gets pretty schmaltzy for me, but I saw this in the thrift store. Just almost perfect condition. Don't see this around too often, so I grabbed it. Do like the album she did with Niall Edwards from Chic, but her solo stuff just gets a little too schmaltzy and AOR-y for me. This one was a VCLT from Steve, Vinyl Therapy and Audio. Did not have a chance to listen to it before my last video, but I have since, and it is awesome. Mulatu Astatki, hopefully I pronounced that right. Afro-Latin Soul, this Ethiopian quintet, this reissue. It's from 1966. Awesome Latin jazz via Ethiopia, kind of vibes and piano driven with some Spanish vocals. Just love that one. Thanks again, Steve. That was awesome. Gonna have to check into more of this stuff now. On to a couple of record store finds. Johnny Otis Show, Cutting Up. This is from 1969, 1970-ish, I think. Epic label. Johnny Otis, the great R&B band leader and father of Shuggy Otis, who wrote Strawberry Letter 23. Shuggy is on here, playing guitar, does a couple of solos. Sugarcane Harris on here. Just a funky, nasty mix of blues and R&B here. Smoking grooves. Got that one very cheap. It's the first one by him I've ever come across, actually. I'll definitely be on the lookout for more. Gary Bartz, Singerella, from 1974 on Prestige. Cover's a little beaten up. Vinyl is immaculate. Jazz funk on here. Bit of kind of like jive top sort of vocals. Did I show the back? Very cool. I think a few of these were from kind of a radio station collection that a store near me got in. Another one, Alan Toussaint, Motion, promo copy. That is Winners. It's from 1978. Got Night People as the lead-off track, and that's in a few, kind of half the album is in that style, which is kind of a disco funk, you know the deal, and the rest is kind of like R&B ballad type things, so about half and half mix. Dance floor and love jams, and just a very nice mix of updating of kind of, I guess you would say, that New Orleans piano kind of boogie shuffle on there, updated for the disco funk era. Larry Coryell, Barefoot Boy, that is on Flying Dutchman. 1971, got this one pretty cheap. Gatefold. Jazz fusion, bit of soul jazz, funk jazz on here on The Great Escape. Only 3 tracks on this album. The third one, Call to the Higher Consciousness, is a side-long track, and getting into I guess what you would call spiritual jazz kind of realm there. But yeah, definitely a bit of its usual mix of kind of rock and soul with the jazz. Couple of Jamaican ones. Not too much to show you for that this time around, but I did find this one very recently. Jean Binta Breeze Tracks. This is on LKJ Records. This is produced by Linton Kwesi Johnson, the great dub poet out of England, and this is also a dub poetry album. I think I've talked a little bit about that before. Dub poetry is kind of spoken word set to heavy roots, dubby reggae rhythms, and usually kind of in kind of a thick patois. The dub poets tend to be the more intellectual, more political side of the reggae spectrum. I was thinking this was 80s, but looking it up, it's from about 1990, which I didn't realize it was that late on. But it is produced by Dennis Bovell, who is not super well known, but he's a big name on the British reggae scene. He had a hand in creating the lovers rock subgenre, and also performed with his band Matumbi, and also was a major dub maestro over there. So you see his name in the credits, you generally know you're going to get some cracking heavy rhythms there. This is one I had on reissue, but I came across it actually at the same shop with those soul and R&B ones. Really cheap. Dave and Ansel Collins, Double Barrel. There's the back. This is on Big Tree Records, US pressing. I'm not sure if it's original or not because it's got this hype sticker on it. Winner of, Grammy Awards. I'm not sure how true that is or not. There was certainly no reggae category back then, which we're looking at about 71-ish, I think, with this one. This is basically what they call skinhead reggae over in England. It's kind of early reggae, very choppy, kind of keyboard-driven instrumentals, which was popular with the working class kids called the skinheads over there. Nothing to do with the racist connotation that term has taken on since. They were basically kind of like working class kids that gravitated towards a lot of this Jamaican music in this era. And the title track here was a chart-topping single worldwide, or specifically in the UK for sure. Dave and Ansel Collins, they weren't brothers. Ansel Collins was a organist, keyboard player, went on to become a prolific session guy. Dave Barker was a singer, kind of a very soul-influenced singer, influenced by Otis Redding, Jackie Wilson, those kind of guys. Ended up working for Lee Scratch Perry, and developed kind of a DJ side to his performance, where he would, instead of singing, he would throw out these kind of jive talk interjections, influenced by the US black radio DJs at the time. And this one is produced by Winston Riley, who is a very prolific producer in reggae throughout several decades. And Dave and Ansel Collins ended up cutting this song called Double Barrel together. They weren't really an act as such, but it was kind of a fluke hit big time. It was basically keyboards with these kind of jive DJ rap kind of spoken word interjections over top. It's been sampled many times, I believe. And it was such a success, they ended up cobbling an album together. And then the two performers kind of went their separate ways. But very nice to have that. Got it very cheap. And one last one. This was, again, a thrift find, which was... this is one of those random thrift records that sort of looks cool. You've never heard of it, and you pick it up and start researching it a bit, and it's got this fascinating backstory to it. I just love that stuff about collecting records. That's just the best. This is Boule Noir, he's called. This is kind of disco funk out of Quebec. It's also partially recorded at Muscle Shoals, Alabama, with the horn section there. Boule Noir was the pseudonym of a guy called Georges Thurston. He was a black guy growing up in Quebec. He was abandoned at birth. He is thought to be the child of a US baseball player and a French-Canadian mother. So he grew up in a foster home in rural Quebec, francophone. Tough growing up in those circumstances, not fitting in. At the age of 9, he was removed from the only stable home he'd known. Went through a whole series of short-term foster homes, ended up in reform school, was getting in trouble. He was going down a real dark path. He was angry. And one day, a total stranger gave him the gift of a guitar, which set him on the course of pursuing music. And he ended up starting some kind of garage psych-type bands before ending up at Muscle Shoals Studio. And one day he was kind of goofing around in the studio and started singing in French. Realizing they kind of had something cool there, they put out a record called excuse my French pronunciation, but Aime tu la vie comme moi. And that turned out to be a hit. He continued on this direction, kind of very aimed at the disco market, but with a solid soul and funk kind of underpinnings, and his own kind of vocals. If you know the R&B soul singer Joe Simon, he's kind of a little bit like Joe Simon's voice, vocals. Kind of that velvet growl, I call it, but in French. And he would go on, George Thurston, Boule Noire, would go on to cut a number of albums. He did a reggae album. He became a television personality, started his own label, started the Unidisc record distribution network in Canada, became a radio host, and continued to record through the 1990s. And in late 2000s, he passed away from cancer. But fascinating story of a guy who came from nothing and achieved quite a bit with his life. And when his funeral was held, apparently it was held in a packed cathedral in Quebec, I would imagine, and with 4,000 people still waiting outside to pay their respects. So just one of those really compelling stories you find out behind these random records. That's just kind of, it's the icing on top of the cake for as far as these things go. I wrote a bit of a longer description of that on my blog. If you want to check that out, it's on my Fat City blog page. I'll leave a link in the comments. So that's about all I've got for you today, guys. I'll wrap it up there. I'll see you soon, and I hope everybody's doing great and finding some cool stuff out there. And peace.